This is a cease and desist order. You need to back off my property immediately.
We are enforcing the bylaws, sir. We have every right to be here.
Your unapproved landscaping is a clear violation.
The night the HOA tried to crush me started with pounding on my front door and white light blasting through the blinds. I opened it and cold air rushed in, smelling like wet asphalt and somebody's cheap cologne. On my porch stood Karen, our HOA president, in a blazer way too stiff for 9:00 p.m., flanked by two board members holding flashlights like they were doing a raid. One guy shoved a thick packet at my chest so hard I almost spilled my coffee. The pages slapped my hand, rubber band cutting into my skin, and Karen said in this sharp, fake sweet voice, "You're in serious violation. You have 72 hours. Then she turned on her heel and marched off while the others filmed my confused face on their phones. When I got inside, I sat at the kitchen table under the buzzing light and slid the rubber band off. The packet exploded onto the table. Photos of my porch chairs. My truck. My tiny garden gnome. Letters I'd never seen. Threats of fines, liens, and even foreclosure if I didn't obey. On the last page she'd circled a number, total fines over $1,200. At the top it said final notice, even though it was the first thing I had ever received. Right then I realized this wasn't about rules. This was about control. That's how HOA stormed the porch with 63 pages of threats. Then I filed the injunction became my life, not just some crazy story online. The next morning, May 3, 2024, I walked into the clubhouse with that same stack in my arms and the smell of burned coffee from their little machine in the lobby. The board sat at a long folding table, Karen in the middle with a plastic gavel like she was a judge from TV. I laid the packet down and said, "Calm down, let's talk like adults." I told them I'd never gotten warnings. Never gotten emails. Karen didn't even look at me. She banged the gavel on the table. "You're out of order," she said. "You can appeal in writing after you pay." A couple of neighbors walked by in the hall, saw me, then looked away fast like I was contagious. When I asked one guy later for help as a witness, he whispered, "I can't, they'll come after my fence next," and shut his door. That was the moment I felt a line burn in my chest. If I rolled over, they'd own me. If I exploded, they'd call the cops. So I picked the one path they would never see coming, every step by the book. I went home, cleared my dining table, and started building my case like a small, quiet storm. First I opened my phone logs. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. That was when Karen had called security because my cousin parked on the street for one night. Then I pulled up emails from the property manager. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I printed the bylaws and highlighted all the parts they were ignoring. I wrote on a sticky note, "Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted." It was like homework, but with rage. Slow rage. Next I started digging into public records. I went to the county courthouse on my lunch break, walking past the metal detectors and the smell of old paper and floor cleaner. At the records window I asked for everything they had on our HOA, liens filed, lawsuits, complaints. The clerk rolled her chair back, clicked around, and then disappeared into a room of shelves. When she came back, she dropped a thick folder on the counter. The file landed with 63 pages. Inside were old complaints from other owners, notes about selective enforcement, and even one warning from the city about improper towing. I almost laughed. They'd basically written my argument for me. That night I typed up a calm, simple letter to the board, pointing out every violation of their own bylaws, and warning them that continued harassment would force me to seek injunctive relief in court. I gave them 10 days to fix everything. They didn't answer. Instead, on day 4, I got another bright envelope with new fines. That made my choice easy. I filed the injunction at the courthouse, attaching my binder, my records, and copies of their own threats. The clerk stamped it, and the judge set a hearing. What Karen didn't know was that the sheriff's office serves those papers. So the next HOA meeting, when she stood up to brag about cracking down on non-compliant owners, a deputy walked in. Everyone went quiet. The deputy asked, "Which one of you is the president?" Karen raised her hand, trying to smile. He handed her the packet right there in front of 3 rows of neighbors. "You've been served, ma'am." Someone in the back gasped. Someone else grabbed their phone and started recording. Karen's face went the color of tomato soup. The video of the deputy serving her hit our neighborhood group chat within an hour. Then it leaked to a local Facebook group that loves HOA drama. People slowed down when they drove past my house, pointing and laughing at the clubhouse. Comments rolled in. Finally someone stood up to them. One guy wrote, "That president is done." At the hearing, the judge sat there with half my neighborhood in the audience. He flipped through my binder, then through the HOA's sloppy letters. He looked over his glasses and said, "This is not how a homeowners association is supposed to operate." The court ordered them to stop all collection on my so-called fines, to send proper notices to everyone, and to rewrite their enforcement policy with the city's oversight. He also warned Karen that any more bad faith reports could bring real penalties. Authority flipped in one afternoon, and it was beautiful. After that, the street got quiet in the best way. No more flashlights on my porch at night. No more mystery envelopes. The board had to refund several neighbors for unfair fines, thousands of dollars spread across the block. Karen lost her president role and quit the board, claiming health reasons, but everyone knew. At the next cookout, she sat on her porch alone while kids played in the cul-de-sac and parents brought me plates of food and little thank yous. One older neighbor patted my shoulder and said, "You did what we were all too scared to do," and I felt the tight knot in my chest finally loosen. I still keep that binder on my shelf to remind myself that quiet doesn't mean weak. It means ready. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.